Are you just tired of all that digital busy work? You know, the endless cycle of copying, pasting, and manually moving data from one app to another? Well, what if you could teach your computer to handle all of that for you? Today, we're going to dive deep into the world of workflow automation. It's a total game changer for reclaiming your time and just getting rid of that repetitive grind for good. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the real problem with all that busy work. Then, we're going to peek under the hood and see how these automation platforms actually do their magic. After that, we'll build a real automation step by step. Then we'll compare two of the major platforms out there, and finally, we'll map out how you can start your own automation journey.
So, first up, the problem. Let's really get to the heart of why you even need to think about automating in the first place.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You look up at the clock and realize a huge chunk of your day was just spent shuffling information around, from a spreadsheet to an email, or from a web form into your CRM. It's not just tedious, it's a massive drain on your focus, your energy, and the creative work you're actually supposed to be doing. But here's the thing. This isn't really about the task itself. The root cause of all this mind-numbing manual work is that your most important software tools, your project manager, your email, your cloud storage, they all live in their own separate digital bubbles. They just weren't built to talk to each other out of the box.
And that brings us perfectly to Section 2, how these platforms actually work. If our apps don't talk to each other, how do we build that bridge? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the magic behind the scenes.
The entire world of automation is built on this one little thing called an API. It stands for Application Programming Interface. And in simple terms, an API is basically like a universal translator. It's a set of rules that lets completely different software programs securely talk to each other and exchange information.
And this analogy really nails it. Think of an API like your TV remote. You press a button to change the channel, and you don't need to understand the complex wiring inside the TV. You just know it works. Well, it's the same thing here. One app can press a button on another app's API to get something done, without needing to know all the messy details of how it works on the inside.
Now, when you jump into an automation platform, you're going to see a few key terms over and over. Let's break them down real quick. A scenario is your whole workflow, from start to finish. Modules are like the individual Lego bricks. Each one does a single specific job. Connections are the secure handshakes that let the platform access your apps. And the trigger? Well, that's the starting gun. It's the one event that kicks the whole process off.
And that trigger can work in two main ways. A polling trigger is kind of like someone tapping you on the shoulder every 15 minutes asking, "Anything new yet? Anything new yet?" It just checks on a set schedule. But an instant trigger, that's like a direct hotline. The moment something happens, your workflow runs. It's the difference between checking your mailbox once a day and getting an instant delivery notification on your phone.
Okay, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. On to Section 3, an automation in action. Let's see how all these pieces come together by actually building our first workflow.
So we're going to build something simple but super powerful. Here's our goal. We want to automatically get a push notification on our phone every single time a new prospect gets added to a Google Sheet. That means no more manually checking for new leads, ever.
So how do we actually build this? It's a pretty logical four-step process. First, we set up our trigger to watch new rows in that specific Google Sheet. Step 2, we create a secure connection to our Google account. Give it permission. Third, we configure the action. We add a notification module and literally just drag and drop the data fields, like first name, from our sheet right into the message. And finally, we set a schedule and flip the switch to turn it on. That's it, it's live.
Now, every little step in that workflow we just built has a cost. And this brings us to a super important concept: operations. Just think of them as the currency of automation. Every single action a module takes, reading one row, sending one notification, that consumes one operation. It's how these platforms measure usage and, well, how they structure their pricing.
So how quickly do those operations add up? Well, that simple workflow we designed, if we schedule it to check for new rows just once an hour, it'll use up about this many operations every single month. Yeah, 720. It might seem like a small number, but understanding this is the key to predicting your costs and designing your workflows to be super efficient.
Okay, so you can see the power here, but which tool should you actually use? That brings us right to Section 4, choosing a platform. Let's compare two of the most popular options out there, Makecom and N8N.
So, at a high level, these platforms are really for two different types of people.
Makecom is a cloud-based service with this beautiful, polished visual interface. It's designed to be super user-friendly for, well, pretty much everyone. N8, on the other hand, is open source. This means you can host it on your own servers, giving developers total control and the power to customize literally anything with code.
Let's break down those key differences. When it comes to hosting, Make is fully managed for you in the cloud. N8N, you can host it yourself or use their cloud version. This makes Make just perfect for non-technical users and teams, while N8N is really a playground for developers. For customization, Make uses visual tools, but with N8N you can write your own code. And finally, collaboration features are baked right into Make, but with N8N, it all depends on how you set it up.
This difference really extends to their pricing too. Make.com, as we know, uses a pay-per-operation model, so your cost is directly tied to how much your workflows run. But with a self-hosted N8N, you don't pay N8N per execution. Instead, your only cost is for your own server and the time it takes to maintain it, which is a huge difference when you're trying to calculate the total cost.
All right, let's wrap this all up. Section 5, your journey begins. We've covered the why and the how, so the big question is, what's next for you?
And this is probably the single most important piece of advice I can give you. Start small. Seriously. Don't try to automate your entire business on day one. Your goal is just to find one simple repetitive task, something that bugs you just a little bit every single day, and make that your first target.
So, what does a good first target even look like? Well, it could be something like copying data between two apps, or manually sending out reminder notifications. How about saving attachments from very specific emails? Or creating tasks in your project manager whenever someone sends you a certain chat message? Even just reporting daily metrics in a team channel. All of these are absolutely perfect candidates for your first big win.
And that really brings us to the final thought. As you go about the rest of your day, just start to notice those little moments of digital friction, those little bits of manual work. Because after seeing how powerful these tools are, the question isn't if you should automate, but what's the first repetitive task you're going to choose to eliminate forever?